Good. Like,
He's just gonna say you're
make
shit
it
on
then.
FIFA. Toxic
not
as
even
usual.
a minute into the.
GG all
Not even a
behin,
minute.
he said.
Sorry, what?
He's losing at half time, so I don't know.
Who sends a
Ah,
message at
right.
half time?
He's losing, so his
Yeah, we're
head's
definitely live now.
his head's gone.
Head's gone. Head's gone.
Hello and welcome to the SLR SidePOD for episode 29. We're almost at 30. Fucking hell. Yeah, I'm back for probably what is the last time as host. After this week, I will be stepping down as host. Doesn't mean I'll be stepping down completely. Actually not. Going away from the SidePod, but it just depends if I do join the SidePod or not. But yeah, this will be my last week as host unless Ranga drops the ball and I have to come in to host at random. So we know it's gonna happen.
Yeah, I was going to say, we all know it's going to happen. We'll cross that bridge when we come to it.
Yeah, we'll wait for that to happen when it happens. So yeah, with me tonight, of course, as you heard just then, we have the bot himself, Ranga.
Yeah.
Why were you so unexcited for yourself to be announced?
Just
Whoa, I'm so happy.
Yeah, it's just,
I'm here.
I can't wait to hear his voice.
yeah, I'm so
Yay.
glad that Ranga's here. What a great guy.
Fucking hell. Okay then. Chill. Okay.
Yeah.
We have a rare treat this week. We actually have Ham on, and I have accidentally called him Jam twice so far.
Yes,
so
yes,
it's going to be an
yes.
interesting.
Ham is here. We're so happy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cheers,
Someone's excited.
cheers, guys. What a
Obviously,
welcome, eh?
Obviously, we're way more excited for Ham being here than Ranga, but
Oh yeah, obviously.
I share your
Imagine
feelings,
wanting,
Dylan.
imagine wanting me instead of Ham. He's just won the elite championship.
Well-
he's
I'll
the big
bring
name.
it,
He's the
I
big
must
name right now. Everyone wants to be
Ranga,
It's
what
going
Ham.
to be
you
funny
want?
when he crashes out.
Exactly. What have I
It's going to be funny when he crashes
Exactly.
out.
You are correct.
I'm
I
doing
don't
that,
even
get
want
out of the room.
constructors.
Actually, I'll tell you what I
Shit.
have one. I'll tell you what I have one.
Driver of the
Driver
week.
of the week. Get it.
and they won't take that
Have
away
that.
from you.
Yeah, no one can take that away from me. Dylan.
Doesn't count when Ranga wins it.
That's not true.
Yeah, he's a league owner. Doesn't count.
With that logic, it doesn't count
Alright.
if clock wins anything then, so that's fine by me.
I've never won.
He doesn't
so
win
no
anything
one ever
anyway.
votes for me when,
That's
when
true.
I'm driver of the day. No one votes for me in driver of the week, so it doesn't matter.
Depends. It's a good drive. Of course I would.
No, I mean I went from 6th to 1st in Monaco. I didn't get it, so what more can I do?
But,
6th to
you
3rd.
just use it. Yeah, it's average.
It's because Rank pays everyone off. Not to work for you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
Exactly.
I think so.
Everyone's
He-
got my PayPal details. So just
It's been his mission since season 1 to not give me driver of the day.
Yeah.
that is true. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. I've got an agenda against it.
All right. So I'll finish off the introductions as I can.
Yeah.
I'll
Sorry,
let this conversation go.
Dylan's been pied at the minute. Sorry, Dill.
I mean,
And
best for last.
Dub.
as of course has just been mentioned, we have SLR Dylan
Yes!
in our podcast.
Yes!
Yeah.
Yes!
Get in, lads.
That's a big dub. Not gonna lie.
Fat dub.
And of course we have Clock.
General clock.
Who?
No.
So happy.
Oh yeah, we have Cock.
Actually, cock in Swedish means chef, so I'll take it that way.
Shut up, Clock.
We've got,
We have we have a chef
we've
apparently.
got a
so
chef in tonight.
Wow.
we have a chef.
Before
That-
we start, I have one thing to say. I have to say that I am very proud that last week I was correct about the George Russell situation when I told you all that if he is a special driver, he would perform a very good
Yeah,
drive and
before-
finish at least second.
Well, he
and I
didn't
know he
win.
finished 8th, but
He didn't
yes, I
And he
know.
proved. He proved.
But
he's a
he
special
proved
driver.
himself.
Yeah.
And I
true.
told everyone here last week that if he is a special
Yeah.
driver, he will prove it next week, regardless of if he's coming into a new car. And everyone was like, nah, he should just be a couple tenths behind Bottas and maybe behind Verstappen. And I'm like, nah. And I'm very proud to say that I was correct.
I've been saying
Just
he's a
wanted to
special
throw-
driver.
Really,
I've been saying he's a special driver for years. No one's believed me. Well, not no one, but a lot of people
Yeah,
seem
for
to have
years.
doubted it. Don't know how.
I'm just proud of the
wonder,
fact
mate,
that
I
I said
wonder.
that if he was special, he would show it last week, and he did.
I haven't actually been
Yeah.
more gutted about an F1 result. Like,
How could you
oh,
be
for
gutted?
so
I mean-
long.
I mean,
I was
you
absolutely
yes.
gutted about that. Do you not?
I
Were
mean,
you
you
not? I
can't
mean,
be
I guess you
gutted.
probably,
No,
you
I
probably
can't be
weren't as
gutted.
much as I was, or maybe
I
some other
can't be
Brits
gutted
were.
because Perez won. There's no driver on the grid who deserves a win more than Perez.
Well,
It's
that's
lit-
kind of what I said actually. I was like, well, if it wasn't Russell that had won, I was glad that it was Perez because he definitely
Yeah.
deserves
Well,
it.
yeah.
Like
Yeah,
you
no,
say.
I agree with that. I agree with that.
but we were still gutted that George Russell, didn't have his, fucking miracle moment of winning on his first race for Mercedes and proving that he is superior to Bottas.
I think you already
think-
proved that.
Yeah, I think
Well,
in
yeah, he already
hindsight,
proved that, but
I think in hindsight we'll all be happy that Perez won that race because he's not gonna have many
Well,
more
yeah, of course.
opportunities, unlike Russell, who's gonna have loads more opportunities now.
No,
he's
I'm
proven
very,
he's
I'm very
better than
glad
Bottas.
Perez
So
won the race. Out of all the options, if it wasn't Russell, Perez probably was going to be
Yeah.
actually second, realistic, out of realistic
Yeah.
chances.
yeah.
So
I mean, with the rate Russell was catching him, I would have thought if it wasn't for that puncture, I think Russell would have won that race.
oh yeah, definitely.
But that fucking puncture, the God, my heart sank every time Russell came on the fucking radio complaining.
I missed it.
I was like,
I was
Really?
I was literally watching the race. I put my dinner in the oven as late as I could. I was so hungry, and I missed it because I left my food in the oven for so long it was going to burn. I had to go and get it, so I was just glued to the telly. And I come back 30 seconds later, and it's like Bono being like, "Oh yeah, slow puncture," and I actually thought like, what can go? Like, honestly, what can go wrong this year has gone wrong.
I have never ever wanted a Mercedes to win ever.
yeah, exactly.
But that race, I have never supported a Mercedes driver more.
You see, I was the
I
same,
will probably.
I wasn't watching the race either. I was just staring at the timings on the left,
Same,
just
same.
looking at how much
Oh,
Russell was
yeah.
gaining, and then I see all
Oh
of
my
a
God,
sudden
yeah.
the gap wasn't changing. I was like, what's going on? And you hear the radio message, and you feel for him so much because I'm just wondering if you were in his position, and well, those were his first points, right? But
Yeah,
would
those
you
were his first points,
rather have got your first points
Risk it.
in the Williams, given that he only got 3 after all the effort
Yeah.
that he went to? I mean, it's a
After
weird
all-
one, isn't it?
yeah.
Because it would definitely, give you a greater sense of satisfaction, I think, to get your first points in the Williams. But it's a difficult one, because obviously if he'd won, then I don't think he would have had any complaints. But I don't know, I thought it was just an interesting sort of question as to
Yeah.
what you'd sort of prefer if you were in that situation.
I think what happened was the best thing that could happen to Russell. Of course, winning would have been better for him personally, but in terms of his
Yeah.
his value on the F1 market,
Yeah.
he
It was
he
F1
only
winner, yeah.
he erased all the doubts because obviously as long as he's only been in a Williams, there's always people who can say that but he's only been in a Williams. I mean, you never know what he can do in a better
Who's,
car
yeah,
and
who's
blah
to
blah
say he
blah.
can do
I mean,
better in a good car?
yeah, will he actually do better than Bottas and blah blah blah? But today he's proved that he is better than Bottas, and that he's given Toto Wolff a massive headache now because now it's very hard to justify him not being in that Mercedes he is for at least 2022. I get that the 2021 contract is signed, so that's fine. It's the same. It's the same with Red Bull and Perez now. It's getting harder and harder for them to justify not
Yeah.
replacing
Yeah.
Albon with Perez.
Well, I've seen that everywhere. It's like so many people asking, like, oh, what was it? Tagging like Red Bull in, like, why isn't Perez already signed? Why isn't Perez got this contract? Albon, I like Albon for multiple reasons. However, up against Max Verstappen and if anyone who's a second driver in the Red Bull seat, I just don't think, gets really any, satisfaction of being a good driver for
The car's
in that
built
car.
around
I just
Verstappen,
think,
isn't it, really?
yeah, there was an interesting comment I heard on what channel was it? Listening to an F1 channel talk about the whole Perez situation, and it was something like if two Mercedes have a blunder and the main Red Bull is out, the other Red Bull should be winning that race, not Perez.
Yeah, he
Well,
shouldn't.
yeah,
At least he
I mean,
shouldn't
that's-
finish 6th.
That's
No, he
gotta
should
be,
have
Yeah.
gotta
should have been
given,
doing much
really,
better than
isn't
he
it?
was. Yeah.
There was actually a very interesting stat because Albon, he's been further away from Verstappen in qualifying than Latifi has been away from Russell
Yeah,
on average.
which is incredible considering he's been in the fucking Red Bull seat for 2 years now.
Right, so
Well,
this
a
weekend,
year and a half.
this weekend was some good for Albon then, because it was only 3 tenths or 4 tenths behind Verstappen.
But
Despite
but
being the
because
track
it was so
so short, honestly.
yeah, the thing is they counted in like percentage behind
Okay.
in terms of the lap time, so he's been consistently a higher percentage behind.
It's a difficult one, I think, for Albon, isn't it? Because, he got thrown into that seat with very little experience in F1, and you wanna keep making excuses for him as to why he isn't performing. But I mean, you've seen with others that they put in the Red Bull. I mean, obviously Gasly as well struggled, but I mean Ricciardo was a match for Verstappen. But do you think that's because there are now these reports that effectively the car has been tailored to Verstappen? Do you think that wasn't the case when Ricciardo was in it, and perhaps that has something to do with it?
Well, Ricciardo was like pretty much the first driver, with more emphasis on Verstappen, moving up to that seat, being the first driver eventually. But I think the rumours of it being literally tailored to Verstappen are completely true. Because I just feel like they're shooting themselves in the foot because their constructors, basically the constructors who's been carried by Verstappen the last 2 years, with of course minor, good results from both Gasly and Albon. But I just personally, I think Red Bull fancy their first drivers more than they should. I mean, look at the Vettel and Webber situation.
Yeah. I think it's also got to be down to confidence. I mean, again, this might sound like another excuse being made on Albon's behalf, but obviously that podium in Brazil that could have quite easily gone his way, and then it looked likely that he would have won in Austria this season had he not had that coming together with Hamilton. So I mean, a podium and a win to end the previous season and start the new one, that probably would have given him the world of good in confidence. Whereas
He's had a
out,
few podiums now, hasn't he? Though.
He has. Could you not argue that they've almost come too late for him? Like, as a Red Bull driver, given the situations that he's been in, like he should have been there to pick up the pieces, and he just not quite been able to, has he? Yeah.
I can't argue with that. I think the only thing I'd say is that, as I've just said, I think he's got podiums. Like, he's already got podiums to his name now, so I don't think it can come down to that as such. Because at the end of the day, he's how old? 21? 20? Something like that?
Yeah, I think it's a bit older than that.
Something like that.
I don't know. I feel like he shouldn't have a lack of confidence, because Red Bull have obviously put a lot of faith in him to give him the full time.
He's 24.
Age. Okay, well, you wouldn't think he was that old, actually. But regardless, he's still quite a young driver as such, and you wouldn't think he'd have little to no confidence showing the faith that Red Bull are putting in to put him in that car.
Mm-hmm.
And then, he's obviously had, a couple of results that haven't gone his way, but some of them, I mean, the ones that you talk about in terms of denting his confidence aren't his fault, are they? The 2 incidents with Hamilton, not exactly Albon's fault, were they? They weren't
Yeah, exactly.
It's not reasons. It's not obviously they're debatable in terms of if Hamilton was to blame, but they're never fully. You can never fully blame Albon. He was just doing what he thought was best, and I mean, obviously the first one isn't debatable, but we know what the second one is, and I just think if he was really going to be there or thereabouts I think that the guys at the top of their game and the guys who have got the ability to make it to the top will just push that to one side, and they'll be able to just get on with it, knowing that they didn't get it, but they deserved to get it. If that makes sense, they didn't quite get the result they deserved, but I think we'd see that if Russell is in the murk again this weekend, then I have no doubt that he's going to be there or thereabouts, because although he had an absolute sucker punch of a weekend, he's got the ability to be right up there, and that's not just because of the car he's in. Albon, realistically, he's in the Red Bull, and he should be fourth every week, or at least close to it.
Yeah, because now, like in a race weekend, too many drivers have to retire before Albon gets a chance of picking up the podium.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, the two
Well,
prime examples you've got are obviously Monza and last week's race, where, like you say,
of course,
both the Mercedes and Verstappen weren't there in the top positions.
Yeah.
And that's got to be where... I mean, you could argue, at least for Monza, he hadn't got a podium then, so perhaps you could still say that was a lack of confidence or whatever, but for last week's race, I mean, really, given I know the track was short and it was a tighter field, but even so, I mean, the thing I find, he's always complaining.
Yeah.
So clearly it is something to do with how the car is performing and how he drives, because every week he's complaining about understeer or oversteer or whatever. So
I find it really interesting, because I hear Max, obviously in the Netherlands, it's all based on Max, like the broadcast. It's like interview after interview, and he's like sometimes just complaining about understeer, but like the next morning on a Saturday morning practice, you don't hear about it anymore, and then in the afternoon they interview him again. He's like, we fixed the issue with the team, and it's all fine now, it feels much better. And I feel like if they can do that with Max, they obviously can with Alex as well. So that shouldn't be the problem, but obviously the team is based around Max. Like when they've got an update front wing, and Max's wing gets damaged, they just take Albon's new front wing and put it on Max's car, stuff like that. So obviously it's based on Max, and it's really not a ideal position for Albon either, because like mid races he can't cope with the pace that the two Mercs and Max have. So he gets put on a different strategy to see like what is it like, what are his lap times like. But yeah, obviously he gets dropped in the traffic and can't do that pace anymore. Loses so much time.
Are you suggesting effectively, because he can't perform to that standard, Red Bull just use him as a guinea pig for the strategy?
Kinda. Like not only for strategy, but it's like for like practice as well. Like he can't do those lap times that Max can or the two Mercs can. So when they've got an update, it's not really like good data for Red Bull, because they don't really know how much faster the new front wing is, because Max's lap times are so much faster than Alex, even in practice.
Yeah.
So it's like a one-man's race at this point, and I feel like that's pretty much Red Bull's own fault, because obviously since they dropped, or since Ricciardo dropped news that he's going to Renault, like from that point on, I feel like they've just been based around Max, because obviously they didn't want to show any new updates or any new information about next year's car to Ricciardo, because he could share that with Renault, obviously. So they had like a half a season with only one driver fully focused on the team, despite Ricciardo still being on the team. So I feel like from then onwards, it was so much based around Max, and it's been like 2.5 years maybe now since Ricciardo left. So 2.5 years or 3.5 years. So ever since, so I feel like, so ever since Ricciardo left the team, they've been down. And if Ferrari had been at the same pace that they were last year, despite being the engine illegal, Red Bull would have been third this year.
Well, if you think about how many times have you seen Alex just, halfway down the field, fighting his way back through the pack, and he's fighting the Williams.
Yeah.
And you're thinking, you should have been past that Williams by now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Why are you still behind it?
I feel like the first proper race in Australia, his first race in the Red Bull, I was getting so annoyed. because like he was stuck behind Kvyat, I think. He was stuck back behind Kvyat,
Yeah.
and he just wouldn't go for the move. Or was Gasly? I'm not sure if it was Gasly or Albon, but they're like at that Red Bull time, they're almost like the same drivers. They just wouldn't go for a move. And like for a fact, obviously I don't know Helmut Marko personally, but like his racing heart is like try it. If you don't succeed, then you don't, and you try it another time. But don't stick behind the driver in front without even trying to overtake him. And that's what they've both been doing a lot. And then comments on the team radio, like in Germany, Nürburgring, they race me so hard. Well, yeah, that ain't it, is it?
Well, what pisses me off about both of them, like Gasly and Albon, in their Toro Rosso days, they would race.
Mm-hmm.
They would try their hardest. They would push every opportunity they got. But since when they go to Red Bull, they become hesitant, and they become too, complacent. That I'm in the quicker team, I should be quicker.
Yeah.
Yes, but you're quicker, but you've still got to you've still got to make the move.
It perhaps speaks a lot about the environment of the Red Bull team, then, really, doesn't it? That seemingly sort of Marco's kind
there's
of like
more
this
pressure.
overseer of what's going on. Yeah, like you say, pressure. I mean, because obviously they can race and they can perform in the AlphaTauri. It's an interesting point though, because could you then are you effectively saying that put Albon and Verstappen in the same car, any other car on the grid? Do you think they'd be closer then in terms of lap time?
I feel
possibly,
like,
yeah.
But the thing is,
I think Albon just doesn't go for the risks.
The thing is though,
does.
the Red Bull car is tough to drive as well. With the high rake setup they have, it's.
Yeah.
I mean, it's more
I feel
like
it's
a narrower window. It's a narrow window when it works, like in terms of how it's built. It's not like, I mean, I don't mean like it's with the Haas last year when it was just shit unless your tires were in the optimal temperature. It's just a more narrow window in terms of driving style to get the most out of that car. Like unlike the Mercedes, which seems to have a bit of a bigger window and seems to be smooth in every sort of way, and the same you can be said with the Racing Point now, when they've essentially made a Mercedes, and you could look at Hulkenberg. He could come in and do a great performance without any practice at all in that car, and I don't think anyone would do that in the Red Bull this season. Let's say.
Well, think about Russell as well with the Mercedes, like the actual pure Mercedes.
Yeah, exactly.
He did what? How many laps compared to Bottas? And he was what? Less than a tenth away.
I think the only
they're just cars that you can find the optimal and stick with it.
The only solution
Because
really to the problem is the only way we'll know is if they put in Paris, because he's a proven driver, unlike Gasly and Albon was.
True.
If they put in Paris there, we will see. If he's shit as well, then there's a fundamental team problem.
But maybe.
But if he isn't, then.
Yeah, so maybe for like the 2022 cars, maybe the Red Bull is like more balanced, so not edging towards Verstappen's race style, because obviously it hasn't worked out for the past 3 years, and it won't work out for 2021 either, because the cars, stay the same for like every department or every regulation. So obviously Mercedes is going to win the 8th title in 2022 or 2021, sorry. So maybe they've just seen that, all right, this isn't working for like one driver being optimal. For like the 2022 car, we're going to bring it back to like, let's say the 2016, 2017 Red Bull. So not edging towards a driver, or to like edging towards the first driver, but like a balanced car for both of them. More like a Mercedes concept, I guess.
I don't think. Go on.
You never know though. If you ask Toto Wolff, he'll probably say that Red Bull are favourites for next season. So
yeah, obviously.
Like every year.
And then Helmut Marko is like, we're first as well. So Toto speaking facts. So.
I was just
and then they actually
about,
become 5th in the champion.
You obviously use Perez as an example of showing perhaps if the Red Bull truly is a Verstappen tailored car. Could they not try that with Kvyat though? Now I know this wouldn't happen because obviously I think he's pretty much, well, if Sonoda is to get the seat next season, it would be Kvyat who lost it almost certainly. But
probably,
it's just an interesting one because when he was in the Red Bull, he was definitely, well, I'd say if you compare him, Gasly and Albon, he was definitely the one that was sort of up there sooner.
Well, he beat
I mean,
Ricciardo in 2015.
He beat Ricciardo, and then he got, he got a podium at the start of 2016. I mean, the only reason he lost his seat was because of Verstappen.
Yeah.
Because, I mean,
The thing is, though, that it's never gonna happen with Kvyat, and in reality,
exactly.
he's been beaten by Gasly this season as well. So surely
But
Gasly is still
effectively,
ahead of Kvyat.
No,
I see how you mean as well, because Kvyat performed better in a Red Bull than what Gasly did, but Gasly has performed better this year, so surely Gasly is a better driver.
No, exactly. No, I think you're right in that regard. But if you're looking at sort of who was better in that Red Bull, then weirdly enough, is Kvyat. But I think
I know where you're coming from, the Kvyat thing, but that was a lot. That compared to the cars nowadays, it's like a completely different kettle of fish. The cars aren't comparable anymore. That's
definitely.
pre-Verstappen era of being the first driver and being focused on. So could you really say that Kvyat, even with his Red Bull experience, could you really say it?
I think this is the problem that they're gonna have next season if Perez does get the nod and is in that Red Bull, because he's not going to settle for second best, is he? I mean,
oh no, of course not.
If you go back to his time with Ocon in the Force India as it was, he's not going to be one to just sort of play second fiddle as it were. So Red Bull are going to have a real headache if it does if Perez is the one to get the nod for next season, because they're going to have to effectively, if the car is designed around Verstappen's driving style, they're going to have to sort of find a compromise, I guess, aren't they? Given what Perez can bring to the team, not just in his driving, in terms of money as well.
Well, if you think about it that way, then is that maybe not a deterrent for them to actually sign, Perez? Because of course Perez is now he's been a proven driver for God knows how long. He knows his way around F1 better than technically Verstappen because he's been there longer. But because of that, there'll be some massive headbutting between those two drivers.
Oh yeah,
and I feel like that would become an Ocon and Perez situation where they crash.
On a bigger scale, really.
Yeah.
If you look at
if the car is based around
scale.
Verstappen, though, isn't it very likely that Perez will be the 1-2 tenths behind him all the time?
Well, this is sort of what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Do they want that? But this is the thing.
Red Bull probably want it, because if he's that close, if he's still behind but close, that means they can fight the Mercedes with two cars and not one car. That means, for example, it wouldn't be as easy for Mercedes to undercut, because then they can do a Raikkonen to Perez and just leave him out there. And Perez is also known to be very good with tires, so he probably would be able to go longer and do those kind of weird stints.
I guess if you just, I mean, but surely if they are in that situation and they don't want that conflict that could arise with Perez and Red Bull, I mean, they're guaranteed second in the constructors unless some team makes leaps and bounds for next season, which really no one thinks is going to happen.
No.
Why not try and design a car that's more drivable for Albon, because surely they're not losing anything by doing that, unless they're...
I feel like it's almost not possible to create a 2021 car now, this late in the season. For Albon.
They might have done that. Who knows?
Yeah, but I feel like if they're really that interested, they'll try for 2022, because they're not going to spend this much more time on the 2021 car.
Yeah.
Because obviously they've got like guaranteed second. No way they're gonna get first unless Mercedes just bottles it in the races. And and they're fully focused on 2022 and the upcoming seasons after that.
So it poses the question then: do you think that Red Bull are doing this because they're scared Verstappen would want to leave? If effectively they haven't got a car that he can win in, which even now it's quite touch and go, isn't it, as to whether he can win it?
Yeah.
Do you not think then that's where he'd sort of be looking at his options and maybe trying to push for that Mercedes seat?
It's obviously like in contracts nowadays, drivers, like literally every driver's got so many ways out of his contract, and then I know for a fact that in his contract one said that he needs to have a car who can win races. So like once he's got a race win, which he got in Britain this year, he can't get out of his contract.
Yeah, it's a very
vague. Very vague. But it's like I feel like Red Bull's like obviously since 2017 or so they just fully committed to Max, and then the contract he got for that, he's earning like 35 million a year. So I feel like they're scared because of him leaving, but like how it's going now. Yeah, exactly. But how it's going now, it should almost be better for him just to leave the team, because like it's the Verstappen part of the garage obviously gets all the points, and he's securing now almost P2 in the constructors on his own. I'm not really sure, I haven't seen the standings, but for team overall, really they haven't put in any steps, because every year at the testing they're saying like, yeah, we're really close to Mercedes now, we're gonna really fight it this year, and every year it's just the same story.
Is that better for Red Bull then, are you saying, or better for Verstappen, or both, if he were to leave?
Well, obviously Verstappen has always said that he wants to win the championship, and the way it's going now with Red Bull, he ain't winning it. So it's like better
obviously
for Red
depending
Bull.
on where he goes, it could be better for him. Yeah,
that's true, but like how many drivers have there been in history of F1 who can really win a championship, but they're just not lucky with the team they've got or the car they've got at that very moment? Like F1 is so based around the car, obviously that's an understatement. Like you can put in, well, look, obviously Russell's really talented, like, but I feel like if you put Magnussen, who's a really good driver as well, if you put him in a Mercedes, he can also win races. And he should maybe be at the point of Bottas or be better than Bottas. So
I think Verstappen is a better driver than Bottas.
Oh, I mean, surely.
Don't get me wrong. Bottas is an alright driver, but I think Verstappen is just a league above Bottas.
Yeah. I mean,
honestly, it would
Bottas
be
is
so
perfect,
interesting
for Mercedes.
Yeah, it's just 3 turns or 2 turns.
He's good enough on his day to win the race and get pole, but for the most part, you know, he's seemingly, although perhaps not this season, willing to play second fiddle to Hamilton. I mean, obviously there's been a few times now where he said, "Oh, put me on whatever tyres you haven't."
Yeah, but then
Lewis isn't going
doesn't
on.
like. Then they don't do it, or he doesn't really
But
commit to it.
Perhaps shows
The team just
his
doesn't
position in
want
the
that.
team. doesn't it?
Yeah, surely.
It says a lot about Bottas's position in the team, that effectively they're not willing to take a win off Hamilton, but they would do it the other way round, wouldn't they?
Yeah, but don't you think that sometimes they're just? I think what race was it? Where he said that exact line, "Put me on the opposite."
Yeah, it was
what Hamilton was.
Portimao, I think.
Yeah.
Well, by the end of that race, both of them on the hard tires were, dying after safety cars and stuff. So, if he'd gone onto the medium compound tire, he would have struggled. And I think Mercedes knew that, so they put him on the tire that at that moment in time was the better call.
Yeah, I think in part, I think it also helps that Mercedes are just so dominant at the moment that they can afford to run the 2 harder compounds of tyres and not be in a position where they're going to lose a race because of it.
Well, if you look sometimes when they're racing the Red Bull, Verstappen on the quicker tyre sometimes can't keep up with the Mercedes.
Exactly.
You're thinking, flipping out. It should be at least a second quicker than them on fresh mediums while they're on hards that have been. Yeah. It just shows how dominant that fucking Mercedes is.
Yeah, it really is. But it's like it would be so interesting to see like Leclerc, Russell, Lewis, Max. I'm probably
God,
missing
yeah,
out.
that would be
See
amazing.
them in the same car. Like, oh my god, that would be so.
If you put them all into Mercedes, if you put them all into a
if you made
Mercedes
it
car,
like F2, so
Yeah,
equal
Yeah.
so
performance.
that's why I just love watching F2. It's so close and so chaotic, and that's like what fans want to see. But then once you turn on the F2 race in, well, obviously the last few races this year have been really interesting because of weather conditions in Turkey as well. But then if you watch the F2 race this Sunday, it was so like intense with Mick Schumacher then locking up and almost hitting cars, and then cars passing him left, right, and center. And like in like the F1 days, you don't really see it. Obviously, the last race in Turkey have been really interesting, but like there have been so much races where I fell asleep almost because it was so boring.
I guess as well with
Well,
the
this-
F2, it kind of shows what drivers are almost better to a degree, because obviously it's going to be heavily based on the setups at that point. When the cars are equal, it's going to be who can find that the best setup, and obviously that has a lot to do with the mechanics and the team as well. But the drivers are going to be constantly relaying that information, so it'd be interesting to see, because you get a real grasp of how good a driver was. Because that's the one thing I noticed about Russell this weekend and throughout the season. He's constantly on the radio, saying how the car's performing and stuff. And you don't get that with other drivers. I don't know whether that's just how it's broadcast to us or what, but he seems to have a real sort of knack for knowing what is going on with the car.
Yeah, I know Lauda in his Ferrari days. That's why Ferrari took him for a reason. He was so good with setups, and then his teammate obviously caught his setups as well and just improved from that. So that'd be so interesting to see them in the equal car. But
think about it. There's a lot of F1 champions throughout the years have been people who can tell a car, is a bit off and go, change that. I bet you it works, and it works, and they win.
Well, like with Red Bull too, like with Max sometimes he's just saying on the radio, like, where's that understeer coming from? He's just like doesn't know it either. So it's kind of like the car is like Clark said, just hard to drive, and sometimes the car is just really strange, acting really strange too. So it's just
Sometimes I wonder.
car.
Sometimes I wonder how that, like, if the car is so hard to drive. Sometimes I wonder how they, I mean, they are like the only car that could take a challenge to the Mercedes duo, but at the same time, I think, well, how the hell do they keep up every week trying to battle them? Because that car seems to be the biggest handful in the world.
There's been like 2018 and 17, like if they had a really strong power unit that season, they win it, I'd say.
Well, of course, yeah.
Because like it's been like just power unit from like I'd say like 3 years or 4 years, maybe 5, that Mercedes just had the best power unit and they just won it because of that. Like the car was like not good.
Like a rocket.
Yeah, because like you see like races in Hungary that Ferrari just easily won it because chassis is really good. And then like races in Bahrain or Abu Dhabi where they really long straight, because they've got like the best percentage of F1 poles as well, so that really dominates it.
Yeah.
You know what? I think we should.
Eco engines.
I think we should move on from this topic.
Eco
I
engines.
just realised this wasn't the topic we were going to talk about. We've been talking about it for the past 40 minutes.
Fernando Alonso once said
Kind of too late.
Fernando Alonso once said it. Eco engines. That'd be interesting.
I wonder
Equal
why.
engines for everyone.
Yeah, maybe because they had a Honda.
You have to leave at the space all the time. You have to leave at the space.
GP2 engine feels much lower than before. All right, so let's move to the subject then.
Well,
Swift
we'll have a
transition
very,
now.
very brief discussion about it. Because we'll have to move on to the other stuff that's planned in the podcast. Jesus Christ. So we were going to talk about at length well, I don't know how much length we get out of it, but the like recent, accidents, crashes, and safety regulations, because that's a very interesting topic. It actually is an interesting topic because, as you all know, if you're an F1, if you follow F1, there was a massive incident in Bahrain during the Bahrain Grand Prix a couple of weeks ago, where Romain Grosjean, if the halo wasn't there, could have literally died. So
Well, I thought he was dead.
Yeah.
well, a lot of people thought he was dead from that explosion
Mhm.
that happened.
Well, it's like his head probably would have sliced through the barrier if it wasn't for the the haters. Oh, spoiler alert! Sorry.
Did anyone else poo themselves when they saw Raikkonen spinning as well last weekend?
Yeah.
On the
God,
first lap.
yeah.
He
I
put
was
that
like,
image in the
serious
first-
case of
Right.
PTSD.
I was watching like,
wasn't it?
where's his car? Where's his car? And then just saw it driving off in the distance. I was like, yes.
It's like, is he okay? Is he okay? He's not in the barrier. Oh god. Your heart sinks when, like, after a big accident, your heart sinks whenever someone else is, like, having a bit of a moment. Like, oh my god. You remember when Jules Bianchi died?
Mm-hmm.
I watched the race after that, and I can't remember who it was, but they had a bit of a moment where they slid off the track. I was like, oh my god, no! I was like,
You,
oh,
you
no,
can
he's not
you
dead.
can see it on the engineers as well. As soon as someone has had an accident,
Oh,
they
God,
they
yeah.
ask if the drivers are okay for much lesser incidents.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Yeah, I
It's
know.
like
Like after,
when
Yeah, I know what you
Leclerc
mean, yeah.
when Leclerc just drives into Perez and just nothing happens, and then his
you
engineer's like,
okay?
"Are
Are you
you
okay?
okay?"
You
And I'm
okay?
like,
Yeah.
"Of course he's okay." Why-
yeah.
He's had a very slow incident. Of course he's okay.
No, I know after the F2 race where Antonio Verde died. I know on Sunday there was a F2 or F3 race as well, and someone went in the barrier like, well, pretty at a pretty
Oh god,
high
yeah.
speed, and then I think it was in Blanchimont, and like my whole race as well.
No, but that was
Like, it was-
Giovinazzi.
Oh, was it? Alright, I'm not even sure.
Yeah. And then Croft is
that-
like,
he
"Oh,
was
is he
that-
okay?
Yeah,
Is
that
he
was in
okay?"
the F1 race. Yeah, he went really hard on the barrier as well. But like from that moment onwards, for like a couple of races, like I was thinking after each crash, like, please tell me he's alright. Please tell me he's
God,
alright.
yeah. It's sometimes terrifying to think that they don't care.
Yeah.
They go into this thinking, oh, I could die.
Mhm.
Let's continue.
Mhm. Yeah.
And to me, that's terrifying because, I mean, of course, if you're an actual driver, you'd think, oh, well, this is just my career. This is what I want to do with my life. So I don't care if I know the risks.
I think this is a serious
So-
case of the mindset that it won't happen to me. It happens
God,
to
yeah.
everyone else, but I'm such a good driver, so it won't happen to me.
Mhm.
I think you have to have that ego and that mindset to be able to drive.
Yeah, and I know for a fact that Max always says like, well, if I'm thinking about maybe I could die this race, I won't be driving as fast as I am now, so I'm just not thinking about it. And I feel like that he's talking like the most drivers there, because they're not thinking about crashing, or they're not thinking about maybe I could die this race. They're just giving it all, and then if they crash, I guess.
Well, obviously, Magnussen was criticised, wasn't he, when he said that he'd be willing to die in the car. But I guess to a
God,
degree,
yeah.
you almost have to, in a sense.
Mhm.
I mean, you wouldn't be putting yourself out there knowing the risks unless you were kind of, well, I don't. Yeah, I mean, obviously you're not expected to to die or whatever, but I mean, they all know the risks, so
Yeah.
they're all
Yeah.
putting themselves out there and doing it. But I guess it's different, isn't it? Like you say,
Yeah.
not exactly going out there expecting that you could die, but yeah.
I mean, they're all just chasing their dream. I'd say like that. Because Lewis said about Hubert too that he was chasing his dreams and he knew what could happen to him, and
Yeah.
unfortunately it happened to him. But like, this is what his life was about, and he knew the risk of it, and like he took them,
Yeah.
and unfortunately it happened. But it could happen to any driver at any race or at any circuit. So
Any motorsport is dangerous, probably will be forever
yeah.
if motorsport exists.
F1
It's
though,
just a danger.
yeah, F1 though is probably the safest Have you the safest form of
Recently,
motorsport? Have you seen like rally when they do like a rally in the mountains
Oh,
and
God,
there's like
yeah,
a
yeah.
massive like 10-meter drop like right next to the
Yeah,
track,
yeah.
and
Yeah.
that's what gets me wondering what the fuck are the drivers doing. F1 doesn't.
It'd be interesting if they do those tracks.
I mean, in the old days of F1, you'd be thinking, why the fuck are they in these big metal death machines? But nowadays, you think, all right, they get just getting on with their lives. That's what they want to do.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, but before they were more like, you know, it was competition, and then they would have a strong ego and mindset that
Yeah.
I'm too good to crash, but I don't think they could think for a second of it. I mean, you get put in an aluminium car with the thinnest aluminium possible, just to make it as light as
Yeah.
possible, obviously, because the lighter means faster. You know, the fuel tank's almost right next to you.
You're not wearing really a helmet. You're wearing a leather cap with a bit of goggle
Yeah,
on.
yeah. If you want
Yeah.
to go into the 50s, yeah. It's
Yeah,
actually
but-
But
fun.
even back in the 60s and 70s, they wore the bog standard what you could get. Some drivers didn't wear helmets until the 1970s.
Yeah, actually, the helmet's introduction had the same kind of fuss about it as the Halo.
Halo,
Because
yeah.
you know the old drivers of from the 50s were like, "Oh, helmets there, that's for little girls. I'm not wearing a
Yeah.
helmet. I'm a big man. I'm not gonna die this. No risk without the helmet, you know."
And then the next week they'd see one of their friends having their head crushed by a giant metal, like a giant machine that they drive, and you think, is that really the wisest idea not to put a helmet on? You know, you've just said, well, how is it to improve safety? Well, if you had it on, you wouldn't die. Funny enough, and
It's actually a fun story. I think it was like a Lotus, or it was some car in the 60s. I think it was a Lotus. It sounds like a Lotus thing to
probably
do.
a lot.
Yeah, they had like
Yeah,
to make the car like lighter and like
louder.
I was gonna say louder. Louder, yeah, that's a new word, louder. But lighter, and to like was something about the drag as well. But they like removed some bits of beneath the car, like under the car. So
Yeah.
when you were driving, you would actually have like lots of small rocks, whatever you call it, like get into the car,
little
like
pebbles
hit
thing,
you,
yeah.
hit you like beneath your legs, like under your thigh and under your leg. And then in the pit stops, there's always a guy just coming with a brush and just sticks it into the cockpit and just brushes out all the small rocks to just get them away, and then he goes out there and get some new rocks in there just to, you know, everything for performance.
Yeah, it's mad what they used to do for performance. Like, you know, it is really funny. You look at some of the old cars and you think, why the hell have you put that wing on there? Like, that looks like something off of a cartoon.
And same
And then
when
you think, well,
yeah, go on.
yeah, go on. No, you go on, mate.
Yeah,
You
okay,
know
I was-
more about this than me. I'm just spitballing.
Yeah, I was about to say
Pretty
the
much.
same with like instead of using like proper guardrails or fences or wherever, you just had some hay balls, whatever you call them, hay bales.
Oh, yeah,
Hail bales.
yeah.
Hay bales, not hail bales.
Hay,
That's a new word as well.
Hail
I'm
bales.
Swedish, you know, but you know what I mean. And, you know, imagine that's must be such a great stopping power in them if you hit them.
Great stopping power. All of, you know. Imagine hitting a kid with a car. That's how much stopping power they had.
Yeah, and it's like if you just gently touch it, it'll probably get hay over the whole track, and
Yeah.
it will get really.
What I always find
Ungrippy.
terrifying looking at old videos. You remember Monaco? They used hay bales for that.
I love you saying
Right next
you
to
remember. Like, you that old,
You
Callum.
watch all this shit as well, don't you? You watch all the old videos, non you.
Mostly I just read, but I don't read that much. I mostly listen to podcasts and stuff. Most of the things I know I've just heard on podcasts and yeah.
Yeah, because if you think about that, like, since, well, they've got them for many years now, they've got those Tech Pro barriers. So, like,
Yeah.
I know they absorb like 40% of the energy than just the normal tire stacks. But still, if
Yeah.
they go in that barrier, like normal, nowadays, it's like, wow, that's a really
Yeah.
hard crash. I hope he's fine. But then, like in the 80s or 70s or maybe even 60s, if they went at that speed in the barrier, they would just, well, either died
The
or
car
had-
would have just disintegrated.
yeah, exactly.
Pretty much.
Just not be there anymore. So, like, obviously, everyone got so much safer throughout the years.
Yeah.
It's like I thought about this. It's like a plane crash. So like when a plane crash happens or occurs, they're gonna just look at what happened and then how to make it safer. I feel like it's with F1 the same way. After like Bianchi died, they introduced those virtual safety cars, those full safety
Yeah.
cars. Period. And then even with
Yeah.
now, with like in Imola, there were still a few marshals running on the track with the safety
Bahrain
car
as well.
barriers. Oh, Bahrain.
Yeah, Bahrain
Yeah,
was
Bahrain
worse.
as
Oh yeah,
Bahrain
yeah.
was worse.
Nora said it. Yeah, she said about the bravest marshal on track.
He has a good.
But that's
Yeah.
He
the
said
thing,
something
isn't
like
it?
he must have a
So
big
they
set of
just
balls to do
extended-
that.
they
Laughed
just
it off
extended
as
it.
well. Like he didn't.
Yeah,
Yeah, he
exactly.
laughed at it.
Well, obviously he seemed concerned, but he didn't
Yeah.
sort of, I don't know,
Got mad. or
make a
something
big
like that.
deal out of it, did he? He
Yeah.
sort of just laughed it off.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he was
it's like,
laughing like,
alright.
wow, that's a brave marshal. Yeah. So like it's like that, just learning from experiences have gone
Yeah.
should have gone or maybe have gone really bad and they just learn from that. So like maybe in 20 years something will happen in the F1 race and then they'll think like, all right, we need to adapt it to this. And then like over 20 years after that, they think like, wow, why didn't they think of about that in 2020? So I feel like in like 40 years, well, they've got maybe Formula One cars with bubble plastic on the side of that.
That's
That's
actually
if there's still Formula One by then.
in 1977. There was actually a human getting hit by a car.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
I've seen that. I've seen that clip. It's nothing I recommend to watch. I didn't.
Is that the one on
I
Monza?
Did he
I
get?
don't know where it is. I
trimmed?
watched it by
Oh.
accident. He like runs across the track. There's two guys running across the track, and the second guy just gets hit by a car,
Yeah.
and he almost gets like split in half. He
Right.
just ends up being a million pieces of him.
Yeah, safety's come such a long way that it's just impossible to, you sometimes you get too complacent looking at these races thinking, they'll be fine.
Yeah, because like.
But then that crash with Grosjean happened and you think,
Mhm.
oh my flipping god,
Yeah, 'cause I
what
know-
the have we just witnessed?
Since this year they introduced like I'm not sure how to say that, but like the suit they've got on, they're like much
Yeah,
more bigger,
it's more fireproof than the
fireproof,
previous
yeah.
one,
And
yeah.
I know that Bottas was really complaining about that, and it might as well just save Grosjean from like a lot more trouble than he's in already right now. So like,
Well, if you think about the gloves and boots
Yeah.
had the previous fire safety rating,
mhm.
and those are the ones that disintegrated instantly against the burning metal and the actual fireball that was his car.
Mhm.
So it ended up, saving his life probably, because if it was the old fire grade gloves, it would have disintegrated and he probably would have had
Yeah.
more life threatening burns.
Yeah. It's like they're just same with the Halo. Obviously, like almost the whole F1 community just laughed it off. Like, well, what is this? We ain't gonna use this. Same as the
Yeah.
new suits were more fireproof. Like we're laughing it off. Like, wow, we don't need that. That ain't gonna happen. But then obviously it happened with Grosjean, and we're just so happy for it that it's there to protect the drivers.
Yeah, and actually with Leclerc as well in Spa, was that 2018? Because
Yeah, it was
that
2018.
Yeah.
wasn't obviously as serious in terms of the sort of what happened, but
Mm-hmm.
if you actually kind of look at it, like they've made sort of 3D models or whatever, like recreations of it, and you can just see how much the Halo, like without it, I mean, he would have been screwed, I think.
Yeah, would,
Well,
would the
I
car
think they did-
of
yeah.
Alonso landed on his head or not?
I
Yes,
think
it
pretty
would've.
much, yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
So like,
But the way they did
yeah,
the
go on.
they did simulate it, like we said, they did simulations to see what would have happened
Mm-hmm.
if that crash, happened without any halos being, introduced. and the way Alonso's tire was going, it would have, with enough with the like speed it was going, it would have at most, fucking removed his head from his shoulders with the way the tire was going.
Yeah, because they've got those like little strips from like the helmet back to the car, like attached, but that wouldn't help him either. So
yeah.
I mean, thank God for that.
Yeah, it just shows you. Yeah, it just shows you that all the hate is for the Halo.
Yeah,
are
exactly. Because
unjustified
there needs to happen something first before everyone. Obviously, with Grosjean as well,
Accepts
there needs
it,
to happen something before saying that. All right, yeah, it did help, and yes, we need it. But I feel like that's just how humans are, just being like that, I guess.
Well, it was really sparked off the Jules Bianchi crash because, of course, he was killed because he basically got his head crushed by a tractor when he went flying into it. So it was introduced off the back of that, but then of course it wasn't introduced for another 3 years because they had to stress test it to the extreme to make sure it was, actually usable. And all the people, I remember when it was first announced that the F2 and F1 cars were getting the Halo system. I was like, oh my god.
Yeah, and actually after Grosjean's incident as well, didn't Bianchi's mother come out and sort of say, how brilliant the Halo is or something along those lines?
Yeah.
Yeah. But in Indy, they've got a really no, it's not really a Halo. I think they call it Halo. But if you've seen those Indy cars with their Halos,
It's
yeah.
like
it just
the
looks so
screen,
much
isn't
prettier.
it?
I feel like it's
the
really
screen,
good. I like to see it, but I'm not sure.
Is
It's
it-
like,
I think they could be-
reason,
Honestly, I think that will have bigger visibility problem than the Halo. If that gets dirty or it's like...
yes, that was
they
what I
want
think.
it clean as well.
And obviously the
There was a
aesthetic
couple.
part,
Yeah.
obviously is quite a big thing because you look at like 2008 and how sort of ugly those cars were in comparison to what we've got now.
Look at 2014 and how ugly those cars
Nah,
were.
Well, yeah,
don't call
exactly.
the 08 cars ugly.
Well,
I feel like I'm the
No,
only
the
one who
08
likes
cars
them.
were ugly.
Um,
The 08 cars were
I actually
but
like.
it's
I actually
like
like
would you
those cars.
sacrifice
Did you just say
safety for
interesting?
an aesthetic sort of benefit, as it were? Like it's kind of
Well,
at the end of the day,
It's not. It's almost
it's a
just
small
not
price to pay,
open
isn't
wheel
it?
driving.
Yeah.
Right, so
Well, there was
Ham's
Go on.
question's going to be all wrong for the quiz right now. I'll tell you that.
That's like with those Halos they've got. I almost feel like watching it. It's almost not even open wheel racing anymore. Like
kinda, yeah.
I feel like the cockpit is
Well, there
almost
was
closed, but
There was another thing that sort of deterred the FIA from going with the screens instead of the Halo device. It was more because the Halo device on average was more durable
okay.
than the actual screen was. I don't know where that.
Yeah,
actual,
I know.
you know.
Seb tested it out in Silverstone, I think, and he just said he got dizzy probably because he didn't like the concept, and he's like, right, if I say that, I don't have to test it anymore. But I mean, for now on, the Halo's fine, and obviously it's saving lives, so keep it on there as long as we don't have a better solution, I'd say. But
There'll probably be, no doubt, along the line there'll be a even better solution because the F1 teams are constantly refining the Halo itself. They've got to meet certain safety regulations, but they're of course adding stuff to it to make it more aerodynamic. I think there really needs to be a crackdown on it at a certain point, because no doubt there'll be one team who goes a step too far with the Halo development.
yeah,
And something wrong happens. But yeah, let's hope we never cross that bridge.
You know what? I think it's time.
Yeah. Go on.
for quiz.
Yep.
I was wondering if
Um,
Ranga's still alive or if he died suddenly in the middle
He
of this
died.
discussions.
fell asleep.
I'm great.
Fell asleep.
Oh,
I've been here this
well-
entire time. I've just been enjoying the conversation. Nothing for me to say.
Well, first, as you heard earlier, we have the driver of the week in the podcast today,
Wait.
Mr. Ranga.
Yes.
Hello.
Wait, we got 2 drivers of the week, huh?
Oh,
Yes, I know. I'm
yeah.
getting to that now. If I can actually find
okay.
the chat that it's in, there we go. And of course, we have our other driver of the week in here, Ham.
Isn't it Jam? Is Jam not here?
Oh no.
Little Christmas.
Trying to trip me up here, mate. No good at all. So yeah, I am not reading what has been written down by Liam for Ham because we'll be here all night, and I'm gonna do the same for Ranga and sort of miss it out. But congratulations to both of you for your drivers of the week,
Thanks, mate.
and I hope
Yeah, cheers.
you just go into this weekend knowing that you're a driver of the week because yeah.
Thanks, mate. I feel like I can take on the world now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I hope you can. And with that being done, I will now hand it over to Clock, who will get on with the quiz.
Yeah, first of all, I really hope that someone actually has more correct answers than Ranga this week after he somehow won the World Championship game. I've got no clue
God.
how he did it, but I feel like Dylan is the only one who
Cheating, probably.
can be blamed in here now. The other ones have.
Not turned up.
Yeah, exactly.
I've got some experience.
They're still embarrassed from last week, so it was only Dylan who had the guts to turn up again.
I'm surprised Matt isn't here. Maybe Matt is focusing on Friday as he becomes a Div 1 champion. Or not, I'm not sure. Alright, let's go.
Yeah, let's go. First of all, I want to know who is the... Well, first of all, I want to say that this is a Brazilian Grand Prix based quiz, and I want to know who is the track named after.
Oh
I
god.
want to know that.
Flipping now.
Oh
Well,
god.
it's called like the Jose Carlos Pache, whatever,
Yes.
isn't it? But I don't know who said person
Well,
is.
it's named after him, I think.
That is correct. It is Jose Carlos Pache who's the track
Pache.
named after. Pache.
I couldn't get
Yeah,
back to
Well,
that.
that's a point.
he was.
There you go.
He was a F1 driver between 72 and 77, and he didn't win anything, so that's probably why it doesn't. He won a race. That's it.
Oh, he did. I'm so sorry.
Oh, fair enough.
He won one race. So it's not very. It's not
Wait,
very
did he
Was it the
race-
Brazilian
did-
Grand Prix?
It was the Brazilian Grand Prix.
But did he win the race like when it was already his like called to him or named to him the track or not? Was that being done later?
I think it was done later, probably.
Was he the no? Was
He won the
first
Brazilian-
to win the Brazilian Grand Prix or something?
No,
I don't know.
no, he
for sure.
wasn't. He wasn't. I know for sure he wasn't. He
What's
well, he
the
won the
point?
he won the 1975 Brazilian Grand Prix.
Hmm.
Yeah, that's
All right.
That's it about him.
Fair
Not
enough.
a very memorable driver. Anyway, second of all, I want to know who has the lap record run Brazil in SLR.
Jam.
No,
No. I think it'll be from last season, but I'm not sure. Not 100% sure. Oh, is it Ghost Cole?
no.
No, he got the
Well,
fastest
that's your-
lap last
that's your
season,
guess.
though.
Like, is it last year or was it like from the season before?
Well, yeah, come on.
Presto.
What you got to think about
Goodness.
is, I'm giving you a little clue here. It's very generous of me, but you got to think
Alright.
about this. Last year was F1 2019, and
Mm-hmm.
F1 2018 was a slightly quicker game as we were on in season 1 and
Presto.
season 2.
Oh, yeah, I was about to say
Presto.
Presto. I was about
It's
to
not
say.
Presto.
Oh, what?
Was it Podium?
Relic.
It's not Prodome. No.
Freeman.
JH?
Harrison.
No.
It's gonna be like that. I think the staffing guy, or whatever his name was. I can't
No,
remember.
there was a
one of
guy
those
called
Was it-
Sink
was it
Bottas, and
Bottas?
there was a guy called
Was it
Max
Bottas?
Verstappen, but there was
Oh,
none of them.
Oh, I knew one of them had a load of fastest.
Was it
laps.
Pricey?
No.
Is it you?
No.
That would have been something. He'd be disappointed in us.
Was it Marrow?
No.
BCT Legends?
No.
Oh. Para.
Flippin' hell!
Did you say Ranga?
Para.
Para.
No, Marrow.
Yes, Para.
No, you said Para.
Oh.
Is it Para?
Para.
Oh,
Para.
okay.
Para is correct. Para is correct.
Hey.
What season was that?
I'm just trying to think of season 1 OGs.
It was season 1.
That was season 1, wasn't it?
He was here, he left, and then he came back. He did a 19.031.
I mean,
I'll
to be
get
fair,
beat.
the most,
Alright.
the
I'll
most,
get beat.
the most left-hand racks are probably from Division 1 or season 1.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was season 1, division 1, so that's correct as well. But after that, who has the lap record in real life?
Oh, Montoya.
Is it still?
Schumacher.
Is it Schumacher?
No,
Right.
no, no.
I feel like Raikkonen has a lot.
Always none of
Is
them.
it
Come on.
Jensen Button?
No,
Was anyone say
That was a shot in the dark.
it's not
Yeah,
yeah,
someone said
Raikkonen.
Yeah, I thought so. Vettel?
Is it
No,
Massa?
no.
By lap record, is it quality lap or a lap or a
No,
race?
race.
Ah, it's race.
Okay,
Should
okay,
be
okay.
race, yeah.
Can you maybe clue what year it was?
Qualifying is gonna be track record, and in the race it's called a lap record.
Is it Verstappen?
No.
Can we have a
Oh, that surprised
Can
me.
we have a clue what year?
I think if I give you a clue, it's gonna be stupendously easy because I mean, you're just gonna
What?
think of
But tell
what
us
car
what
was
year.
quick.
Is it Hakkinen?
Alonso.
No, no.
I already said Button.
Coulthard.
Hamilton.
Oh,
Montoya?
Schumacher.
You're just
We've
saying
already
the same
said all
drivers
these.
again.
Senna,
fuck
Mansell?
No,
I
I reckon.
reckon.
Villeneuve.
No,
Hill.
Coulthard. I don't
no,
actually know if it's
no, 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 no.
Johnson.
Just say what year.
Ocon.
Yeah, right. Ocon.
Ocon.
It's not Ocon.
Bottas.
It is Bottas.
Fuck off. Is it
Oh my
actually?
God.
No one said him.
2018, he did a 10.5.
Yeah, it is.
Shit.
I can't believe you
Bottas?
needed that long to say Bottas. He's been in the Mercedes for 4 years. Yeah,
I wasn't
that
saying
just-
that.
that just shows- That just shows how you rate him, honestly. If it takes that long for you to think of Bottas has been in the Mercedes since 2017. Oh my god.
George.
I love how you called him a fucking clown.
Sorry, I just want George to have the same seat that he's in.
Just speaking facts.
Yeah, plus Ranger only,
He is just
Ranger
spitting
only
facts.
deals in facts anyway, so.
Now,
Well,
Yeah,
alternative
shut
facts
up.
maybe sometimes.
a Brazilian Grand Prix. Remember I told you Carlos Pacha won in 75, but a Brazilian Grand Prix at Interlagos was actually first held in 1972. Who was the winner of that race?
God's sake.
72.
Nelson
Are you
PK.
sure?
Jack
Are
Brabham?
you sure about 72?
Surely
Oh,
they did
seven.
in 72.
Nelson PK.
Jack
PK
Brabham.
did not race, but they did race a different layout back then. It was like a much longer one.
wasn't it?
Yeah, and then
See,
they
there we
then
go.
they went
Answer
to
my question, is it Jack
then they
Brabham?
went to Rio de Janeiro and raced there when they rebuilt Interlagos, and then they've raced since 1990 on the current layout. I think it might be a slightly different, but
Is it Fittipaldi?
it is Fittipaldi.
Fuck.
Fair
Wait,
enough.
so he won
Never
in
got that.
73?
Won in 72. 72.
Didn't he win the Did he win the championship that year?
I'm pretty sure he did. Yeah.
Fair enough.
Yeah. Anyway.
Fittipaldi.
Last question.
Oh, alright. Oh.
Back to season
Already?
1. But it's a fifth question now, so it's gonna be. It's
Mate,
only
I
5.
feel like I'm trashing Division 1 or Season 1 questions, but...
Season 1, yeah, I take season 1 because that's the hardest. It's usually Ranga who's the only one who can answer. So
Yeah, even I can't answer it. I'm from season 1.
anyway, give me the 3 winners from season 1.
Yeah, alright. Oh dear.
God. Season Presto.
That's correct.
Yeah.
Onto the podium.
Presto. No, he wasn't in there. Presto. Div 2 was Harrison.
No.
Was Div 3 JH?
Div
No.
2 was Goat.
No,
Wow.
Was it Constant Ryan?
it was Constant Ryan.
Last shot.
He was rapid, man. He was too quick for Div 2. I remember that now.
Yeah, he won the
Div
championship
3,
as well.
Div 3, Season 1 will either be JH or Relic.
Yeah, we've already
Could be
said
Barrow,
JH,
could it
so
Well, it's Relic then.
it is Relic.
Was
Dub.
Maro in Bottom? Or was he in season 2?
He was in Division 3. It's
He
just
was
the
in
fact
Div
that
3.
he was always third because he was much
True,
slower than
yeah, he
JH.
wasn't-
And
yeah, he was
actually,
with Relic.
actually, he was probably fourth though because Legends was there as well.
Yeah, that's when they started to get their pace, wasn't it? Oh, they pretty much got their pace by then. But not quite.
Yeah, they had that pace definitely. I mean, JH.
Which annoys me
I think
because
JH
I
finished
started
like
in Div 2 and moved on.
I think JH finished like 8th in Division 1 in France. Or 9th. And I'm pretty sure Relic finished 6th in Division 1 in Belgium, but Season 1 was a bit messy, we'll leave it at that.
Season 1, we had JH in Div 3, yeah. For 1 week, we had a spare seat in Div 1, so we gave it to him to race in Div 1 for the week, and he finished like 5th, and people still didn't want to move him. Yep. No comment.
No, it was he finished 9th. It was Relic who
Oh,
finished
well,
6th.
that's good enough. Yeah, there you go.
I remember that.
If I speak, I'm in big trouble.
I remember that just because, I mean, obviously I was in that Belgian race and finished 1 place behind him and argued for the case that he shouldn't be able to score points because he wasn't actually in the division, so I wanted to get 2 extra points in the famous race when Ranga didn't award me Driver of the Day. Still mad.
Cry more.
I will.
Crime River. Is that it for the quiz then, mate?
Yeah.
As I'd spin again on Brazil.
Yeah, we'll,
Thank God,
we'll,
I'm not having a great time.
we have to have
in
a
Brazil.
proper send-off now to Callum as a
Oh God,
host.
please don't be singing or anything.
I'm not gonna sing. I wish
Good.
Steve was here so he could sing.
Nah,
No, but I just want to say that a massive thanks for running SidePod for 29 episodes, and I'm sure we're all very gutted to not have you here regularly. Regularly
Thanks for
the
everything.
future.
Thanks for everything you've done, Callum.
Yeah.
I couldn't have done it
Yeah.
without, of course, Ranga and Steve-O at the start. Absolutely just throwing the fucking job at me.
You're welcome.
I remember because me and Steve were supposed to be like, and then Steve just went, I'm just going to go to being a co-host. I was like, all right, fair enough. That's how I got the full host job. And yeah.
Oh yeah, but honestly,
It's been fun. It's been fun.
Yeah, just like being serious, it's been awesome, and you've done a brilliant job, and I hope we can see you back here a couple times in the
Well, of
future.
course.
Definitely, if you
Yeah, of course.
guest appearances, I reckon.
Yeah. I'll definitely be here for the 50th episode.
It will
Oh,
hurt.
for sure.
It will hurt him though to be on the SidePod and not host. It would be weird for him just being here like, oh, I want to do the hosting, but I'm not the host anymore.
It's going to be strange listening to them back. It was strange last week when I was listening to it not being the host, but yeah. So yeah, it's been fun hosting it, but you know, last few weeks a couple of things going on, so at the moment I don't see myself, you know, hosting this podcast for now. Of course, in the future, if you would have me back, I would of course love to host again. But
Welcome back
Yeah,
anytime,
just
mate. You know.
Nah, sorry, that's it. That's it now. It's a one-time thing.
no, you're not allowed
Once
to
you've
do
gone,
it anymore.
that's it.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, sorry, Callum. You put me bridges, Callum. I'm not interested.
Jokes. Jokes, not jokes.
Yeah, no, it's been fun. It's been great doing it. Oh God. Well,
Good. That's what it's all about, mate.
Yeah. Go on, Callum. Do the send off one final time.
Go on, Callum. Do it one more time.
and on that bombshell, it's time to end. Thank you all for joining me for my last hosted. Just starts weeping in the background as I'm. Stop.
It's just a tough one, you know. It's just one of those things you never want to end, and then yeah, I'm sorry. I'll just mute myself, I guess. Sorry, guys.
Oh, leave it together, man.
Yeah, you're making it feel like I am going through a breakup. Jesus Christ.
It is a breakup. It's just a timeout. You'll come back. Let's just say it like that.
Having a break.
Yeah,
Dylan will
You'll
force
come
you,
back.
so-
They all come back. Anyway, thank you all for watching tonight. Thank you to Ranga, Clock, Dylan, and Ham. I got it right. For joining me for my last hosting job. Well, my last first attempt at hosting.
Yes.
I'll say that because no doubt I'll probably be hosting in like 2 weeks' time when no one else can be asked to do it. So yeah, I'll see you in whenever next I'm on the podcast. Goodbye.
Next week.
Bye.